Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel.
Or if it's your first time, welcome.
Now, if you have seen our previous video that we put out, it was a tribute to our Mini and Tundra.
Mini Winnie Tundra. Well,
Yep.
not Mini Tundra, but
Winnebago Mini Plus and our Toyota Tundra.
right.
So we actually traded those in, and that video gave you a glimpse to our new coach. Now, we knew we needed something larger than the Mini Winnie, and we went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then back again. Between the fifth wheel, we were looking at the Class A motor coach. We were looking at a Super C.
Super Cs,
We were
yeah.
looking at the Super C.
So we're looking more specifically, I think more on the Jayco Seneca type platform. And not just your traditional C. We knew we wanted a diesel engine. Which I probably am jumping the gun there, but
Well, we were looking at, we kind of decided not to do the fifth wheel.
right. And the more so, and the reason why, and it came down, I mean, fifth wheels, we're not knocking anything. I mean, what fits a lot of people's lifestyles, like for example, where we're staying right now, there are a ton of fifth wheels. And it works for a lot of people. But what we decided and what we thought of, until we hit that full-time status, is that we were looking at, we were going to have a decent sized tow vehicle, exactly, a
The
tow
truck I'd be driving to and from work.
And what I had settled on, or I should say what we had settled on, it was going to be a dually. So and because we still have somewhat of a job, you know, to where we needed to drive that truck around locally when we're not traveling, we are getting on the road more and more, but we didn't want that as our daily driver. So we started looking into the Class C at that point.
Right, we were looking at the Class C,
And then,
and we were looking at the Class A's, and that was also looking at the price points. And the Super C that Jayco had out, that was really nice.
yeah, the
really
Seneca
nice rig.
was nice.
And I think it can go off-road a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it does sit a little bit higher.
So,
Ride height is
I think
a little
if we
bit.
were planning on doing a little bit more desert boondocking, that might have been something we would have considered. But we're getting a little older, and I don't know if we're going to do too much boondocking. I do want to give it a try.
Oh, absolutely.
But then we decided to go with the Class A. And
And then that went back and forth to what size, you know.
size, we
As you
started,
know, coaches come in all different
Yeah.
sizes.
so we started with the 34.
So did we supersize? No, just kidding.
Yeah, we supersized. We started with the 34.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's in the frame. The Dutch Star behind us, that's a
Not
super.
ours. We were looking at 34 inch.
Be about yay big.
That's what we could afford, the little toy car. No, we were looking at the 34 foot,
Correct.
and it was nice, but it was a little too small for us. And I know you're thinking it's just the two of us. We don't have the kids, and some people full time and in the travel trailers with the kids and all that, and
And it works.
it works.
Absolutely.
And
Well, we
We
travel
don't.
with our two cats. They're our kids.
yeah, finding a spot for litter box was a little difficult.
Yeah.
But then we were looking at the 37.
Yeah. And the
And-
reason, well, yeah, we start with the 34.
Well, first we were looking at maker. We went from
Oh, my
Tiffin
goodness.
to Newmar to
Wow.
Winnebago.
Yeah, Winnebago. I mean, and again, that's a whole different video that we can get into with Winnebago, Newmar. We know that, but at the time they were two
They're
separate
separate,
entities.
right?
And this is excluding Jayco now because at this point we had ruled out the Super C. And I think the main reason is, like Susan is kind of getting into right now, is that the
floor
build
plan.
quality and also the floor plans just suited us a lot better. So as Susan was saying, that she was saying that we were looking at different manufacturers. At the time was Winnebago, I believe she said Newmar and Tiffin. I think we did look at some Fleetwood Discoveries, but being a
Yeah.
Thor, I think it's a Thor product. And again, I'm not knocking Thor. It just nothing fit our style that we liked with Thor products.
So on that, we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth again. And then we decided, and we really liked the Newmars the best.
The reason, and you got to get out there and test drive them.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to find some dealers, and we did too. And I'm not going to get into the dealer's name, but there was a dealer that absolutely says no test driving these coaches until you're ready to
Just
purchase.
sign the
or basically
paperwork.
signing the paperwork. And we're like, excuse me, what did you? How is that? Because how are we to like the feel of the coach, see how it drives? I'm not going to put my signature or drop any amount of money down on a coach if I don't know what it's going to drive. So
Yeah, that was a
on to
little
other
silly.
dealers we went to, and we found that was like maybe 1% of the population
Yeah.
that would do that. 99% of those dealers out there agree that you need to, live or drive in them, sit in them.
Right.
So
So once we decided Newmar,
you shockingly said it.
I know.
So yes, we did do Newmar.
Spoiler alert, Newmar is what we ended up with. But then we went back and forth on the length.
Well, why did we pick Newmar? There's a couple of reasons.
One thing I really liked from Newmar was their comfort drive.
Yes, she
I
actually
actually drove. The salesman had me drive. I don't even test drive cars. He does all the driving, and then whatever car he likes, then I don't mind, I'll drive it.
And she's
But-
not going to be upset for if I say this, but when we had the Tundra in Mini Winnie,
I refused
even
to
though
drive.
it was a 30-foot, trailer, yeah,
I wouldn't drive. I wouldn't drive. But driving, now granted, it was the 34 that we drove.
I think you also drove a 37 too.
Okay,
You did do both. Oh, but
No.
when he first got you
when we
behind
first
the wheel,
got
yes, it was a 34.
So.
So
that was the trick. He got me behind the wheel on a 34, and then we didn't buy the 34. Another spoiler alert there. But the 34, we couldn't figure out where things would go. We walked through it, and I think at that time, that when we were originally looking, it only had a 5,000 pound.
exactly, 5,000 pound tow rating,
And we had just gotten a Jeep Wrangler,
as
and,
you've seen.
and it happens to be 4,900 pounds.
With some modification.
Yes.
Bumpers, tires, all that. You know
All
what the
that good
Jeep
stuff.
stands for, so.
So that was, we were actually even almost signing on the paperwork on that one time.
Yeah, and I just decided I didn't want to cut it that close. If I want some tow rating, I don't want to be cutting anything. I know we're flat towing, but it kind of opened our eyes to a lot of things. It's like, well,
That we
wait a
weren't
second.
looking at.
If we're second guessing that, or I don't want to push the limits on that, then what else might be? And I'm not saying pushing the limits inside but more of our comfort level. Like, are we going to have the storage? So now it kind of opened our eyes. It's like, well, wait a second. If we're going to go to this price point, let's look at something that's going to fit our lifestyle.
Yeah, I think we were at the ooh, I like, and not
Yeah.
the nuts and bolts of it at that
Right.
moment. So,
And we thought we had already done our homework. with
Right.
Digging into the manufacturers, understanding what chassis, transmissions are on all of these, and with Tiffin, Newmar, and understanding all of that, and yet we still were in a process of doing homework. So
right. So we kind of went back to the drawing board, but not all the way back. We still knew that we wanted to get into a Newmar.
correct.
Then we started looking at the 37.
Yeah, and we did
And
find a good one.
they had two nice floor plans that we liked, the 3717 and the 3709.
Correct.
And we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And the 09 had features that we liked, and the 17 had features that we liked. And if we could kind of combine those two together, then it would have been really nice.
So we need to come up with somewhere the number like a 3714.
There you go,
No,
in
just
between the two. But we were then going to look at the getting an '09 because that had more of the features that we liked. But the big
19.
thing.
Oh,
The
you mean the
709.
37? I'm like, not the year. I'm like, duh. Like an '09. We were looking at some used ones.
No, the 3709.
So I got it.
And
I'm back on board.
And one thing we were looking at there was it didn't have a pantry.
I know.
So we were figuring out, well, what could we do instead? Where would we put stuff?
Well, I think that there is a floor plan. It does picture it with a
You have to get a smaller
pantry.
refrigerator.
You have to do the smaller refrigerator, and it's not the residential. Another spoiler, but we wanted a residential refrigerator.
Correct. So that was.
And I couldn't. It's just weird that there was no pantry.
Yeah, we didn't want something that we had to make work.
I know.
So unfortunately, at that point, we then got advised to walk into a 40 37 floor plan, and we got the good old we like this.
To ourselves.
Yes, to ourselves.
We don't want ever the dealers to know this.
To ourselves. So we really liked that floor plan. So then we started trying to get in, looking at that. And, you know, you're not going to find 100% of what you're looking for unless you order it and you spend the money to do that.
Right.
But we walked into one of the coaches and it was 95%.
I would say there's only maybe, we know of one that will explain, especially once we give you a tour on the inside, maybe 2 items that was not on our, that was on our list.
That was on our list that it didn't make.
Yeah. Some of the factors, and you know, again, it just jumped, the whole coach jumped out at us. Not only the exterior, but when you walked in, we knew right from the get-go. It's like, we both looked at each other without the dealer seeing us and said, yeah, this is home. And when you get that feeling, whether you're having a sticks and bricks house, back in the day when people had sticks and bricks houses before going to the full-time lifestyle, you walk into that house model and it becomes
jumps out at you.
Yeah, you know it's yours. That's what this one did to us.
Yeah.
Some factors, you know, my brother and sister-in-law have been, you know, a huge help in this. They've been full-time in for well over, I think, 14, 15 years now. And my brother did give me some words of wisdom, as with other RVers, is to picture yourself as you grow into this lifestyle and where we want to be, and get what you want. And thankfully, you know, the 34 that we were looking at, the 37-footer, you know, and then having that conversation, you know, and then this one jumping out, it's like everything aligned at that point. So.
It did. Everything kind of worked together and fell into place.
And we'll try to go over, you know, we'll do kind of an exterior overview of the coach, showing you some of the features. I don't think we mentioned what year.
No, we didn't.
So we go with a 19 that I thought she was talking about, an 09 model? But no. Did we go with a 19? What did we do? So, the answer
to that question is we went new.
2020.
We got a 2020.
Well, the 19s were new too.
Right, the 19s were new. We were looking at the 2019 Vantana LE. And
we're also seeing a couple of Vantana lines that we liked.
Which was one step up.
Right.
Really nice, but that went with the price point as well. So, but what we ended up with is a 2020 Kountry Star.
Kountry Star.
So now the Kountry Star actually is the Vantana LE. They just discontinued the LE because people were getting it confused with the Vantana.
Yeah, because they thought the LE stood for Luxury Edition, which they're all beautiful coaches.
Yes. But the LE was actually less expensive.
Right, it was the
LE, less expensive.
It went Vantana LE, Vantana, then to the Dutch Star, and then on up from there.
So they did change the name from Ventana LE to Country Star. Now, Country Star name, actually, they had that before.
Got a car going by.
So they had the name Country Star on older models, and they kind of discontinued that, right? And then they brought it back.
What I don't know, and I have to do some more research into the history of Newmar, is I don't know if it was on a gas-powered coach years ago or fifth wheel, because they used to have a fifth wheel line. I don't know the answer, but Susan is correct. They used to have a Country Star line, but that was several years ago.
So anyways, one thing that convinced us of going with the 2020 instead of the 2019 was that the 2020s, they increased the height of the basement, right?
I know, yeah, it doesn't sound like much, but
I think it was like 2 inches?
2 inches, at least 2 inches.
So that gave us a little bit more storage area into the basement.
Yeah. But they also upgraded, as you will see as we walked around, they upgraded a lot of the features that you would find on the Ventana and higher upline anyhow. So a lot of these features on the entry-level coaches starting in 2020, and again, I'm not knocking any 2019 models, because we were seriously considering all of our options as new coaches, dealers blowing out, but we couldn't find the floor plan that really spoke to us. This one did. It happened to be a 2020, and
that's the other thing that you have to look at, new to used.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Now, we went new mostly because of my allergies.
Very sensitive to.
Unfortunately, don't know who was in them, but the coach beforehand. Did they smoke? Did they have pets, dogs, hamsters, snakes?
Allergic to snakes?
But perfumes.
Yeah.
How much perfume did they wear? And sometimes I would walk into a used coach and I just have to walk right back out. I had some problems, so we just figured it would be easiest on us if we just went new.
But even though, and we're not knocking the dealerships, because they do really clean these coaches,
right,
the used ones, but there are, we're not, that's a whole different conversation.
And I think if we had the skills to buy something used and gut it.
What are you saying? I have skills.
Because if we had the skills to gut it and build it, that would be cool. I would love to do that.
I think the skills is meaning time and tools. I just wish I had the shop, to
time, tools,
yeah,
concept, imagination of where things would go. There's a lot. Now there is some things, projects I would like to try, but nothing to the point where completely redoing things. I'm not that skillful. But anyways, so we don't make this too long, we would like to introduce you to Serenity.
Here's Serenity behind me. As you can tell, it's a 4037 model. 4037 is telling us it's a 40-foot length. The 37 is the floor plan, which this unit, I'm not going to do any spoilers. You'll see the interior and why we chose this floor plan. It does have three slides on it. Newmar has really stepped up a lot of things for 2020, as we talked about. Basement storage being one of them, slide mechanisms. They've really improved their slide mechanism. So as you will see, we have 3 wall slides. This particular wall slide that you'll eventually see on the interior side is for the living room, and of course the bedroom on that side. But starting here, the one thing what was a good factor not only is what we wanted to see ourselves down the road, is that the 40-foot model opened up another whole row of basement storage for us, versus the 34 to the 37 opened one between them, where we almost got 2 additional basement storages jumping from the 34 all the way up to the 40 foot. So that's kind of where we're at. So we're still kind of organizing things, but in this particular storage bin, so on the coming around the the passenger door is our first basement. It's not a pass-through, but it is deep enough. It's actually deeper than what we have. We actually have, it came with
the mattress for the extra bed.
Yeah, the mattress for the extra bed inside, which we're probably never going to use. So we've got it back there. So that's taken up probably at least, what, 6 inches, I would think, if not more. So they can go deep, but it's actually holding our shelves. We actually had these in the mini Winnie. So right now they're temporary, but they actually do kind of fine. And we just store some extra stuff in there. So that's bay number 1. It does have an exterior TV, really on our must-haves. We really didn't care much for the outside TV, but the one thing is, if it did come with one, I did not want it taking up one of my basement storage. And that's one of the things that Susan was talking about, was on the 37 foot, very rarely did we see them. They were never in the door or the slide wall. They actually, if they did have it, they took up one of your basement storages, and I just didn't like that. So door number 2, this one is our first pass-through, our second pass-through, and so we do have 2 full pass-through storage, which are in the center, and they're a raised rail chassis, so that's where we got, they're actually bigger doors by 2 inches, more insulation, they're thicker, they're the slam latch. So right now on the first bay we have our chairs and whatnot, some smaller ladders that we need to get into. Second bay is going to be for some, paper goods, cleaning, stuff like that, extra storage for us. That's why we've got tubs, so, paper products and whatnot.
Extra toilet paper.
Yeah, if we ever find it. This one I decided, because it's kind of similar to that front one, while it passes over the top, I can store stuff up on the top rail chassis back there. It does not pass all the way through. So this is where I keep most of my tools, because they always said to keep the weight towards, the drive axle. So that's kind of where that's at. Now this is what I was explaining. This bay, on some of the smaller units, is where the TV would be, and it would take it away. But this, I'm still adding some. I just bought some peg hooks, so I'm going to start hanging some of my tools out here. But this would have been the TV on a lot of them. And for whatever reason, most of these coaches that we were looking at on the 37 foot side, this would always be the TV. And very few had the pegboard. I wanted the pegboard. So, another storage bay where we've got already. This is our air compressor and a mat to go that we can put some things for our Jeep on. This compartment, it's locked. It's just basically accessible to a side part of the engine and some of our actual batteries. Obviously the engine compartment, not much you can really do here. This is a small storage bay here. So we keep some of our extra fluids that we need, for like the batteries, distilled water, some extra oil, transmission, and whatnot. So, and of course our 50 amp service power cord. In this bay is our DEF tank. So some of the, I forget what year, diesel engines now have to have what they call DEF fluid, or diesel exhaust fluid. So that's what this is. This is supposed to be a storage container for our Stinky Slinky, but I actually put some dirty funnels in there if I need to add oil or something. Not going to crawl under. This is our typical wet bay. Houses our Stinky Slinky, our hose, our water. That's where we'll pull to drain the tanks and whatnot. The next 3 bays are just the other side. from what you were seeing. On the other side, they're just extended pass-through. There's really not much to see because we have everything in tubs, so it's going to be cleaning supplies and whatnot. This particular one, that is our house battery compartment. This one here, and also our propane tank. So we have a large tank. And then this one here is just a compartment under where it houses all the fuses. A little bit of storage if you want, but I'm not going to put anything in there. And then of course there's some switches that will open up the nose cap. This whole nose cap will open up so I can check the power steering, or the the windshield wiper fluid, and then I also have my hydraulic fluid for my 4 jacks that come out. So that's kind of it in a nutshell on the outside of Serenity. So anyways, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the outside. Hopefully, I think we'll try to get Susan to do the interior side. But if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Please share it and subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.